My family kicked me out of my grandfather's business after he did. Then they found out he secretly left me control of everything.
The morning after my grandfather's funeral, my family kicked me out of his company. They had no idea he'd already signed it over to me. My grandfather built our family business from nothing. One truck, one phone, one folding table in a garage. By the time I was born, it was worth millions. Everyone loved what he built. Nobody loved him. When I was 12, he started taking me to work on weekends. While my cousins were out, I was learning invoices, payroll, deliveries. The real work, not because he made me, because I actually wanted to be there. When he got sick, I was the one in that hospital room, week after week. My uncle, nothing. My cousins, nothing. My mom showed up maybe 3 times. One night he grabbed my hand and said, "Promise me you won't let greedy people destroy what I built." I told him I wouldn't. I didn't fully understand what he was preparing me for. He died 3 months later. The funeral was a performance. People sobbing over a man they never called, hugging each other over a loss they never felt. The very next morning, my uncle called a family meeting at the office. The second I walked in, I felt it. He was already sitting in my grandfather's chair, jacket on, hands folded, smiling like a man who'd already won. He looked at me and said, "We appreciate everything you did, but moving forward, you won't be part of the business." I actually laughed. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. My cousin slid termination papers across the table without a word. I looked at my mom. She was staring at the floor. My uncle said, "This is business. Don't make it emotional." 5 minutes. That's how long it took them to erase everything I'd given that company. I stood up, left the papers on the table, and walked out without saying a word. 2 weeks later, my grandfather's lawyer called me. His voice was careful, almost nervous. "Your grandfather asked me to wait before revealing the second part of the will." Second part. I said, "When and where?" I walked into that office the next morning, and they were all already there. My uncle, my cousins, my mom, sitting there with that same quiet confidence from the funeral meeting. The lawyer opened his folder and read slowly. 3 years ago, your grandfather transferred controlling shares of the company and full ownership of the family home into a single person's name. I watched them all start to smile. They thought they knew the ending. Then he said my name. The room went completely still. My cousin stood up and said, "That's not possible," but it was. Every page of it was legal, signed, and notarized. My grandfather's note said it plainly. "You were the only one who cared about the family. Everyone else just cared about what the family had." My uncle had gone pale. Because the company he'd just fired me from, I owned it. The house he lived in, I owned that too. Then the lawyer kept reading. Turns out my uncle had been quietly stealing from the business for years, not small amounts. My grandfather had discovered it, said nothing, and spent his final months making sure it couldn't be buried after he was gone. That's why he changed everything. He wasn't just rewarding me, he was protecting what he built. Within days, the same people who slid termination papers across